Hi, how you doing? John Kavakis here again for another episode of My Take for Form 43 and the Die-Cast Zone. I mentioned in a couple of videos that Esval has very generously sent me a selection of models that have been out for a little while. And maybe some of them were overlooked. Maybe you were thinking about buying when they first came out and they kind of slip away as we get excited about new things. I know how that works. So we're going to be taking a second look at those over the next few days. I'll try and group them together by color or maybe, some similarity. But this is going to give me an opportunity to kind of refine my take, maybe give it a little bit more focus. And so I've been wanting to, for the last couple videos, come up with some sort of rating system that kind of gives us an idea of the overall value and focus of the model. And so I've come up with this 5-star rating system, and it looks like this. We're going to rate between 1 and 5 stars, and there can be a half star in there. The fidelity of the car, the faithfulness to the proportion and the lines, the general design of the car, how well does it represent the original design. We'll take a look at the trim and badging, and that'll include lensing. And we'll look at the luster of the chrome, the placement of the trim, the realism of the badges, and the dimensionality of all that. So we'll take a look at the color and the faithfulness to the factory colors. And I will, when I have the opportunity, present color samples. There's always discussion over color. But the one thing that we can agree on is the color samples are generally accurate. And if I can hold a color sample up next to the car, at least you'll get an idea of whether or not that car matches that color sample, regardless of what our monitor settings are and the cameras and everything. Those are the two colors right there. So we'll rate them on color. We'll rate it on interior detail. We'll give a rating on wheels, wheel covers, and tires. And then there'll be a value rating, and that is going to be bang for the buck. How is this competitively valued in the market? Now we'll compile all those and then come up with an overall rating. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you are too. Today I want to talk about post-war sports cars. I mentioned that in the previous video. Our guys came home from the war. They had money in their pockets. The United States was on a roll. There was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of potential, a lot of promise. We were just entering the rocket age. All sorts of neat things going on. And in the middle of that, there was a huge demand for cars. They stopped making them in 1942, resumed making them again in 46, 47, really kind of got up to speed in 48 and 49. So there's a pent-up demand for cars. A complete attitude of optimism in the United States, and what arose from all that is a bunch of cottage industries. They were making cars all over the country. People were using old chassis and modified engines and putting custom bodies on it, and some fiberglass. Some people were just making their own customs. Some people were trying to start up a company, and some people kind of stumbled into it, and that's the story of our first car, which is a 1954 Maverick Sportster. Maverick was made by a very unique individual, a guy named H. Sterling Gladwin of Mountain View, California. Quite a character from what I understand. Fairly exciting guy to be around. But he wanted to make his own car. Now, he took a 1940 LaSalle chassis, and put a Cadillac flathead V8 in it, Borg-Warner overdrive transmission, and he just brought a hodgepodge of parts from other cars in. He used the grill from a LaSalle, the headlights from a Lincoln, the Studebaker fuel tank, Buick fender guards. I mean, he's just pulling things from all over the place and came up with a really unique design, I guess is a great way to call it. Now, his motto was, and the way he described his car was, that it was an all-Western long-range commuter for Western highways. This is a large car, 216 inches long. It was over 6 feet wide. I think it's 75 inches wide, and kind of low, sleek, but it was a big car, and you can't tell that by just looking at the model. So it is 331 cubic inch engine, fiberglass body. It was relatively lightweight, had Carter carburetors on it, 210 horsepower, and which was formidable back then. A lot of torque. Brakes were drum in the front and drum in the rear, and performance 0 to 60 was 10 seconds. So it was pretty formidable, and Esval has given us a model of this car. Now it's a really cool model. Here's a picture of the actual car. And I'm going to superimpose that on the model so you can take a look at it. The model is just very well done, and it's just typical of Esval, the well done model. Finish is really superb. The detailing on it is excellent. The grill, the LaSalle grill, is well represented. They really nailed the Lincoln headlights. The car had, some of the cars, they only made 7, some say maybe 8 of these. And so each one of them was unique. Some of them had no doors. Some of them had 1 door. Some of them had 2 doors. Some of them had a hood. Some of them had an hinge at the back of the body, so that you could lift the front up and get to the engine. This particular model had louvers on either side and a small hood. The louvers would unbolt. You could get to the engine. And those louvers are well represented, but they could use a little bit of black wash. The lensing on the car is really excellent. Tail lights are beautiful red lenses, and lenses in the headlights are excellent. The interior and the dash is very well done, right down to the texture of the carpet. But the instruments are well picked out. It's just a beautiful interior. The frame around the windshield is very delicate and light, and the chrome on the bumpers is well done. A little bit of texture in between. Each of the cars had a different bumper on it, and the hood ornament is just well picked out. So here's my rating on this one. I'm going to give this a 5 for fidelity. Now look, I'm not going to be giving 5 stars indiscriminately. I mean, for me, to say that the fidelity, the accuracy of the car is a 5 means that I think they've done a really good job of representing the car. So I'm giving a 5 fidelity. For trim and badging and lensing and all, I'm going to give it a 3.5. I think those louvers look a little too bright. I think the grill is very well done, but could use a little bit of black wash. It would be hard to do a piece that small, but that's the reality of the situation. For the color, as far as I know, this was an accurate color, so I'm going to give him a 5 on that. Interior detail, definitely a 5. Wheels and tires, I'm going to give it a 4. The wheels look good, but they could use a little bit of black wash, maybe a little bit of depth as well. And so value bang for the buck, I'm going to give it a 4, but I got to say, this is available with Legacy Motors, and Legacy Motors has them on sale, this color, at $58. So for that, value is definitely a 5. Now that takes our overall rating on this car up to 27.5 and gives us an average 5-star rating of 4.5. And definitely the strong points are the sale price that you might be able to find this at. You can order them from your dealer. There's a green one available. I don't have one of those here to show you, but you can order them from your dealer. You can order them directly from Esval. It's a beautiful model of a very rare car. Like I said, they made 7. Some people think they made 8 of them between 1952 and 1968. So this wasn't what we would call a high volume model. We've got another car that didn't do a whole lot of volume, and that would be the 1948 Kurtis Omohundro Comet. Now, again, this is another one of those cars made out of a 1940 Ford chassis. They had plans for production on it. It had aluminum body. the driving factors behind this were Frank Kurtis, the designer racer of Indy cars, and a California industrialist named Paul Omohundro, who ran a company called Comet Industries. So Paul wanted this car. Kurtis agreed, and this was kind of the beginning of Kurtis's whole foray into making cars. And you can see some of the designs that showed up on the Kurtis Munzjet and some of the other cars that they did were present here in these first cars. Now, they only made 2 of them. The first one was blue, second one was bronze. The second one was restored and repainted sometime, they think, in the 60s or so, and was painted red, and they had wire wheels put on it. But the car was, you know, if you could supply your own chassis, you could buy the kit, you could buy the knockdown. But if you could supply the chassis, the car was $3,750. A complete car would have been $5,000 or so. Now, this one again had a flathead V8, somewhere around 120 horsepower or so. Again, a quick car. 3-speed manual with overdrive on it. Typical of these things: front drum brakes, rear drum brakes. It had solid axle, so the suspension was a little bit primitive, and it didn't really handle all that well. But this was more about being seen. 199 inches long, so it was relatively compact, but it was a wide car, 75 inches, just like the Maverick Sportster. And so top speed on it was 105 miles an hour, 0 to 60, 14 seconds, very respectable. And again, the whole kit would have run $5,000 if you were to buy it new. So here's the blue one. And things that I noticed here. Now, there are 2 models here, and this is this shows a model maker that's really dedicated to his craft, because there are minute differences between the 2 models, between the blue one, which might have been the original, and the red one, which came afterwards. But the first thing I notice about this one is it has the same type of disc wheels that the original one had. The white wall tires are very well picked out, very well done to scale, little red rim around the edge of the wheel. The lensing on it is just beautiful. The tail lights are picked out and have actual lenses in them. The headlights have dimensionality. The bumpers are well chromed. They're very lustrous. The gas filler door is picked out, and the shut lines around the hood and the doors are very well picked out. The interior is a little bit of a gem. It's 2-tone interior. It's got separate door handles on the inside, a true to scale steering wheel with a horn ring, and the instruments are very well done. The top boot, that's fascinating, because there's a top boot on this one. The red one doesn't have a top one. I'll show you that in just a second. But the latches for the top boot kind of stick up. Very delicate, very small, very well done. Windshield frame is textured just like the original one. This is a pretty nice model. This is a pretty nice model. That's the blue one. Let me show you the red one. And again, the minute differences that really make these 2 outstanding models. The hood line is different. The gas filler door is different. It has different tail lights on it. It has different bumpers, front and rear. It doesn't have the same little trim strip on the hood the other one does. The windshield is different. The interior is different. It doesn't have the 2-toning, but it does have the separate door handles, and the dash is beautifully machined with a completely different steering wheel. Again, done true to scale. You can see the shift lever in there. It's just a beautiful car. There's the 2 cars, and they're different enough to, I mean, if you're into that level of detail, they're different enough to consider having both of them in your collection. So here's my ratings on this one. Fidelity, I'm giving it a 5. You can see the original car, what it looked like, and it's very true to the original car. Trim and badging, I'm going to give this a 5. There's not a lot of trim there, but what little trim is on the car, they've done a really good job. Faithful to the factory colors, yes, 5. Interior detail, 5. Wheels, covers, and tires, I'm going to give them a 4.5. Primarily because the wire wheels on the red one could be a little bit more accurate. I've seen better wire wheels. I've certainly seen worse wire wheels. So I don't want to ding it too hard, but I'm going to give them a 4.5. And value, I'm going to give it a 4.0. And I got to be honest with you, that's primarily because of the rather esoteric subject matter. They sell for $104.95. These are available at Legacy Motors as well. They're also available direct from Esval. So, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know how you like the 5-star ratings. I appreciate you joining me, and I'll have some more for you in the next couple of days or so. Thank you.